All right, y'all. Leland Live, Talk 99.5. Let's get going. I'm on your radio, but I'm not on your video. AJ, I think it's my dongle.
Your dongle is messed up. It's so fun. I haven't heard someone say their dongle is
That's
not working.
that's what happened with Eric Swalwell too. If you know what I'm saying.
But there's a pill for that too. There's always a pill for your dongle.
Look out! I need.
And you can go to Alabama's Men Clinic for that one.
I just prefer a healthier lifestyle and maybe eat more fruits and vegetables. No, I've got this connector that usually connects the camera to the system, and somehow it's just not happening right now. So I'll fool with it in the break. We'll get the camera up here in just a minute. You doing all right, my friend? You good?
Man, I'm too blessed to be depressed, brother. I'm good.
Man, I'm just looking at the world and about to dig in and dive in pretty hard with all that's happening. I'm going to start with the markets today. They've been fascinating. There's still this suspense over how the situation with Iran's going to end, and the markets and the insiders and everybody else involved all since the end. Iran's out of cards to play. They tried to blackmail the world for a minute over the whole situation with the Strait of Hormuz, and that's turned into a joke. They really weren't blocking the strait. They were bluffing the whole time. We've gotten control of it now. We're slowly opening it up. That's helped oil a little bit today. Oil's kind of hung out right around $90, $91 a barrel. It was starting to dip into negative territory and fall backwards there for a second. S&P is at an all-time high. Now, just to understand, if you don't play the markets and fool with it, and I don't do any of this day-to-day stuff, but generally the S&P is considered a broader view of all the stocks. All of these groups, the Dow Jones tends to be industrial stocks. In the early days of it, it was called the Dow Jones Industrials. The NASDAQ is tech, a lot of tech stocks. It's mostly that composite of stocks. They just go and pick stocks that are traded and put them into this index and try to give you a sense of where the whole market is. But the Standard & Poor's, which really gets ignored in a lot of reporting, is a broader look. It's a nicer balance of heavy industry, some tech, a lot of other companies. And it has just set another record. It's not just up for the day or up for the week. It has just set a record going over 7,000 today. And we'll see where it winds up here in just a little bit. And here's what I'm doing. I'm sort of reverse engineering our thinking. The events on the ground are dictating the stock numbers. And in the absence of seeing what's happening on the ground, because we don't know a whole lot, there's some back channel negotiations. We've surged a huge military force into the area. Some updates on that happened earlier today. And then there's the oil industry, which is micro scrutinizing every bit of this every hour, every second. And all of those have stayed less than volatile. Let's just put it that way. They didn't go way up. They didn't go way down. NASDAQ's up in a healthy way today, about 1.5. All of these indices, if you want to call them that, are turning back north, which is where we would prefer them to be. And so we're going to continue to watch all this stuff and process it as we go along and add the updates, especially when we get to the close. The Dow, for its part's only down 50 today. It was down much more than that earlier today. So let's just, so there's your market wrap for the moment. And again, just to sort of back channel reverse engineer and interpret, the markets seem calm. They're not volatile. They're steady. They're just waiting on news, we think, where they think this thing is not quite on the bottom, because we've had a several percent comeback here in the last several days. But people still have dreams of 50,000 in their head when it comes to the Dow. And a lot of investors would like to see it get back to that in some sense of normalcy. And we'll see how these talks break out. This is supposedly the second week of the 2-week ceasefire. But Trump gave indications last night. He did an interview with Fox News and gave indications, as he said all along, we're not here to stay. The war's basically over. But it is in the sense that we're not fighting with anybody. Does that make sense? We're not at war with anybody right now. We have our military there, and we're mopping up. We're trying to get the strait cleaned up, and we may have some other missions to, say, secure the enriched uranium. But there's no army on the other side shooting back at us. There might be an air missile if the ceasefire doesn't hold, but that's not a military force versus a military force. You don't have two nations warring back and forth over a battlefield with each other. The Iranians have already been defeated. What's left is some of their infrastructure, political infrastructure to some degree. This is an economic argument at this point.